She says this does change things somewhat, especially the nature of the dealing with Ashatiru. She said, surely Gendred knows he is a possible candidate for this ritual.
That's what I was thinking.
That's a good point.
I was thinking about too when she mentioned he's been here since time immemorial.
We hadn't gotten to this point where we were telling her the full prophecy, so I didn't say it out loud.
I'm wondering if Ashatiru is the true name he was going to give us. That's out of character.
Yeah, probably.
She says, so what will you do now? Speak with Ashatiru? Attempt to convert him?
That would be the goal. And it sounds like possibly to warn him. You shouldn't be working for a guy whose in-game is going to be sacrificing. At least I wouldn't.
Okay. She goes back over to one of her tables and sits down with quill and paper and begins writing out a letter. She folds it up, seals it with wax from her ring, and as she seals it, she discharges some kind of magic into the parchment. She comes back. She hands it to Zook. Says, I don't know what weight this will bear when you deliver it to Ashatiru, but at the very least, he'll know you're not lying to him.
Okay.
She says, I'm going to retrieve your friends and return them to you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there, let me ask you something. Are there any times you're out incognito as far as the cult's concerned? Do you go on vacations? Do you go on do research anywhere?
She says that
generally not able to be contacted.
As a trusted member of the cult, they leave her to her own devices. They expect her to perform her responsibilities here in Kiska, but she doesn't necessarily have to be here 24/7. That she does travel somewhat, but it would not be questioned if she decided to travel.
So all I'm saying is, if we do, since you have helped us, and we are having a civil conversation here, and I appreciate that, if we do decide that we have to do something with the other ribs, you might want to go on a vacation that week.
And at that, she speaks the word and blinks down into the sex dungeon. As she enters the room, Eldove, what have you been doing down in this room?
For the first 10 minutes, I was casting Identify on the room to find out what was keeping me from leaving.
And when you cast the Identify spell, the pearl breaks and the spell discharges, but you don't get anything in response. The spell is just eaten by the air in here.
Eldove tries casting a Firebolt cantrip at one of the...
At Orphan?
Bookshelves.
At one of the bookshelves?
Yeah.
That sounds like a bad idea.
Roll a Constitution check, DC 21.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
No, it didn't.
I thought it was a good idea.
Ever so much.
Eldove didn't think it would go off.
Then why didn't you aim it at the ceiling?
Because I don't want the ceiling to cave in on me. What is a bunch of books gonna do?
You have a very overhyped opinion of your own Firebolt.
What? Is this your first time meeting Eldove?
Let's see that roll.
This is easily the third time we've been attacked by books in this campaign.
That's why I don't read. What was it, DC?
21.
Yeah, I pass.
You pass? Okay, you take 23 lightning damage.
Ouch.
You throw your firebolt out, expecting it not to come out, and what comes out doesn't look to be your normal firebolt. It looks muted. It looks colorless somehow. It doesn't have like the full brunt of your blood magic behind it. And you throw it at one of the bookshelves, and it hits. You see a spark, like a wave, from the plane in front of the bookshelf where it hits. First of all, the firebolt immediately gets reflected and comes back and hits you. But when it comes back, it's carrying part of the magic from the bookshelf, and it discharges into your chest. You think it has something to do with your dragon blood absorbing your own magic, but you feel it brings you down to your knees. You feel the pain of the electricity, but it doesn't rack your body. It doesn't cause you to contort like Orphan is. And so now you look at Orphan and we're like, oh, okay, I get it now.
So,
This makes sense.
What kind of hilarious position do you put Orphan in while she's unconscious?
She's not unconscious.
Yeah,
she's incapacitated. Orphan is conscious and aware. Eldove draws a little mustache.
Wait, she's been staring at me this whole time?
Yes, she is awake, conscious, and twitching violently on the ground. Her muscles are spasming.
Terrible.
Yeah, I saw that.
But instead of helping her, you threw magic spells at books.
I thought she was out.
No, she's not out. Incapacitated, not unconscious.
You could detect thoughts and have a conversation.
Yeah, that's absolutely what I would have done. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
the spell probably was still in there.
We're still going to do the firebolt thing because that was entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Detecting thoughts on Orphan, and again, you're able to hear the thoughts, but the magic is somehow muted. It's not like it doesn't go as deep as you expect it to go. Orphan, what's like your surface level thoughts right now?
Surface level thoughts are, well, I presume I can see Eldove.
You can.
I'm thinking about not touching the books.
Fuck that, I'll throw the cantrip at.
Yeah, so
that's a little late.
The surface thought is don't touch the books, they're dangerous, and you're like,
yeah.
Sure.
Eldove says, I don't know, they seem pretty much safe. I'm not on the ground twitching.
After a couple minutes, Ravenhair comes in the doorway and looks at the two of you, and she sees the scorching hole on Eldove's chest, and she sees the Orphan spasming on the ground. And she says, you and your companions have much to talk about. I'm going to take you back to them.
I'll pick up Orphan.
She says, first, I'm going to deafen you, so that you do not hear the word to leave this place.
Jerk.
I know, right? I'll say, alright.
Okay. She casts a spell. Eldove, do you counterspell it?
No, I don't, but I do, when she says the word, use my detect thoughts to pick up her surface level thoughts.
So you try to detect thoughts before she casts deafness?
No, not before she casts deafness, after. Basically, I want to hear her say the word in her mind as she says the word out loud.
Okay. Do either of you attempt to... Because you get a save against deafness, but you can fail the save voluntarily. So
yeah, I voluntarily fail.
Will she know that we've successfully made a save?
You don't know what she'll know.
I'm not sure. Can I make a save?
I would let you make a save against the deafness if you wanted, but
I think you just fail strength and dex saves automatically. I don't think there's anything else.
Actually, it doesn't say that. It just says I can't take actions or reactions.
Okay.
So you get your regular save.
I'm thinking restraint.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and fail it.
Okay. Eldove.
Uh-huh.
After she's finished casting the first spell, you notice that you're not deaf yet. She then casts the second spell, at which point all of the sound in your world dissipates. You no longer hear. You discharge dispel or detect thoughts. When you reach into her mind, there's nothing there. It's blank.
Tricky.
And then you see her lips move.
Non-detection.
And all three of you blink back into this room here. Now, when they appear, you guys see Eldove has the scorch mark on his chest, and Orphan is twitching violently on the floor. Ravenhair...
And Zook rolls his eyes again.
Ravenhair says, if you place her in one of the beds upstairs, she'll come around within an hour.
Eldove says, oh, don't worry, we have a priest for this.
As she looks over at Arik.
Didn't you hear her say that, actually?
Yeah, am I still deaf?
Oh yeah, you are. You don't hear shit.
Eldove says, as soon as we come in, Eldove says, Arik! Arik, I'm deaf! And something's wrong with Orphan!
Arik, what's your response?
Cover my ears as he's yelling.
I wish I was deaf.
Arik, fix it!
I really wish Eldove had taken Observant back when we were talking about it, because he could have read those lips.
Guess what ability Khalil has? First level.
So what are the intentions now? I mean, is Arik going to try to heal Orphan, or are you guys going to wait out the hour, or are you just going to drag Orphan out in the street?
Zook will just ask, like, should we just wait it out, or is that curable?
Can we wait it out? I don't know what's happened to her.
She says right now the wards placed on its cache are coursing through her muscles. She's losing control of her ability to move. You can, if you look here, you can see the foam coming out of her mouth and the discharge from her bowels.
I imagine her using like one of those retractable wands for a presentation. Like, now
right?
look here.
But no, she says that if she survived the initial blasts, no more harm will come to her. After the episode passes, she'll be no worse for wear. And you're welcome to put her in one of the beds upstairs to wait it out. It shouldn't take more than a couple hours, she said.
I go over to Eldove. I sort of give him like the stink eye, but I cast lesser restoration on him, and that cures him of his deafness.
Eldove, you can hear now.
Yeah. Oh, thank God.
And I'll carry Orphan upstairs. I guess that's what we decided, and I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will cure wounds and all that good stuff.
Okay. And after about an Orphan...
Oh, wait. You can't do that because that orb is up there. I'll go get the orb.
Zook moves the orb in the room.
Zook grabs the orb and brings it back downstairs. And I know she's probably not happy about that, and he'll just kind of say, I'll take it with us when we leave. I'm sorry.
When you go to retrieve the orb, you see that it's losing its energy rapidly over time. Now that it's been active for so long now, the crackling is not as violent as it once was. It's starting to lose its glow and lose its color.
Oh, you know what? There's 2 rooms up there. I just stick in the storage room.
Okay. So after about an hour, Orphan stops twitching, and you feel just exhausted at all the activity, your muscles throbbing back and forth. You do take a level of exhaustion. I don't think that'll come into play, but...
but I will cast Cure Wounds as a level 3 spell! For the sake of Orphan, you can get back...
it's probably not necessary. I don't think we're going to get in the fight today.
Plus 9 is 22
You never know in this group.
You've already avoided one of the fights, so good job on that. So what's the next goal once Orphan is back up in action?
Sorry, did you say 22 points?
Yep.
Is it safe to assume that after you guys leave here, you go and find Khalil and tell him what you've learned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to bamf back to our inn, or do we just want to stay in town here?
I've got a plane ready.
Or are we gonna go camp in the demi-plane?
No, I can plane shift us to the demi-plane in the inn and then open the door.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Eldove can take us to the teleport circle too, right?
You guys have options.
I thought he'd already used his teleport. Oh, okay.
No,
I used a teleport.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so we want to go back home, basically.
Do we want to identify this jam?
Figured we can do that back at
Khalil will, like when you find Khalil, he's sitting in the tavern that you've been frequenting since you guys started coming back to Kiska again. He looks up over the jar up to Arik and just nods at it.
He's like, "Look what I found! What did you guys do today?"
Arik,
sweet.
You're looking at a jar of jam that it's calling to you.
It's calling to me, huh?
Captain, this eye of mine told me that it's magic.
I'll look at it. Is it magical?
It is.
What school is it?
Fruit-tacular.
God damn it! Rickroad, you are the worst GM ever.
I know.
Tarin will just nod. Yeah, it looks like it. So how's seeing magic starting to feel?
It's
starting to feel better?
It's a little disorienting. I walked past some other things that started glowing. It's a little irritating at first.
Wait, hold on. Where did you get magic jam from?
A street vendor that vanished a street vendor that immediately vanished upon my purchasing of it.
Oh, that sounds trustworthy. Eldove, do you want to test this thing?
That's what I was getting at.
How many spoonfuls have you had already? Be honest.
None. I would not dare to presume to deprive Arik of his prize.
Just remember, if it's cursed, we're not going to know.
Eldove has had a bad day and he kind of wants to eat this jam.
Yeah, but it'll tell us if it's like super trapped immediately.
All right, I will identify this possibly cursed jam.
Just identify on the jam.
I just want to hear the story about the jam.
I do too.
You get a visage of a very vivid, faraway sylvan wood, with tiny little fairy people with butterfly wings, canvassing out over the woods, finding berries of all colors and bringing them back and squashing them down to form this jam. And every creature who tastes it will never know deliciousness again as much as they've tasted in this jam. All other foods for the rest of their mortal lives will pale in comparison.
That sounds kind of like a curse to me,
That
actually.
sounds terrible.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very fun.
I mean,
Does Eldove tell everyone about this?
I don't know what Eldove said yet.
Yeah.
Eldove pulls Arik closer and he says, Arik, listen. This jam is off the fucking chain. But it's also probably pretty bullshit. Like, as far as I can tell, like, this jam is like a +2 jam of ennui.
So, and remember, if Eldove tells you something is bullshit, that jam is bullshit. It's about to sprout wings and fly away.
Like, you can have some of this jam, and it'll be delicious.
So jam of ennui, gotcha.
Jam will never be the same again.
Oh, I think I'll pass then.
And
So that would be like
when you say
Phoenix Down jam.
when you say that you think you'll pass, you just feel this heaviness weighing down on your shoulder. Your desire to eat this jam is even greater now that you know it is the ultimate form of all jam. There is no jam greater than what you're looking at.
Eldove turns around to see if Orphan's already eating the jam.
Does anybody have a spoon?
Orphan asks for a spoon.
Orphan. If you're going to eat that jam, use some bread tips. Use some corners. Be much better.
Just use your hands.
This is.
Orphan
someone?
nods to Eldove and dips a finger into the jam.
Wait, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Alright, so
Just dip finger.
and you have jam on your finger now.
Alright, and I'll suck it off.
Did someone banana this jam in?
No.
Okay.
This is
is
for
the thing.
being whimsical.
As soon as Orphan puts her finger in her mouth, you all see tears well up at the corner of her eyes. And she gets this look of just longing and desire in her face. Like, you see this nostalgia wash over her. And it is the most delicious thing you've ever had in your mouth. And for some reason, you just know instinctively that no other meal will ever compare to it. And then you swallow the jam and digest it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the rest of the bottle with me.
So, Orphan, what flavor is it?
It's mine flavor.
It's cosmic flavored.
At some point when we're not just sucking it off of our fingers, Zook would like to try and have that on some bread, like a civilized human being.
Oh, no,
She's never giving anybody else this jam.
If I try to have some of that jam, will I get hellish rebuked?
You will be taught.
Orphan, I can understand your position on this, but what if I could create for you a 25 by 25 foot cube of this jam?
And Orphan's eyes kind of light up.
Wait. Do you just need to know? Do you have to have a sample of it, or just have knowledge of the jam?
I need to have a small amount.
Okay, so we must preserve a spoonful of this jam for all time. I will totally swim in magic, amazing jam. That'll be the only jam I ever have for the. You know what we need to do? Oh my God, you guys! We need to serve magical copies of this jam at our inn.
The inn, yeah.
That is a really cruel thing to do.
No,
we're not doing that.
What? That's my end game.
I would think that you would be all for any jam-based ideas.
That would definitely be a cruel, maybe not necessarily evil, but definitely devious.
This is the girl genius coffee of jams.
No, we'd be upfront about it. We would be upfront about the nature of our jam. Like,
we need to like mix a little dirt into it so that it's just
I'm gonna
really
stab you
good
in the
jam.
face, and then I stab him in the face. It's okay because I warned them.
So okay.
Well,
So you guys put Fred in charge of the marketing campaign for the jam of the Blue Wormling Inn. What do you tell Fred to say? Like, do you tell them the truth? After people eat this jam, they will never want any other food again?
yes.
And what do you
in advertising?
what do you price it as? A crust of bread spread with this jam.
the first one's free.
Holy
God.
shit, dude!
Oh God!
No.
God.
No.
Damn it, neutral.
Yes.
No.
We just
For
give
the
it to our
record,
guest.
Tarin has nothing to do with this jam plan.
Tarin has everything to do with this jam as an administrator of the Blue Wormling Inn. He's in on this whether he likes it or not.
I get it. He's in on this.
Eh.
Look, if it comes down to it, I'll banish the jam to a dimension you'll never be able to find it in again. So don't do it.
You're
You have
gonna
to-
get hella tribute.
You'd have to kill Orphan first. So,
I can bring her back.
brass tacks, what is the plan with the jam as far as marketing it to your...
My God.
Are you actually going through with this plan?
If you guys
No,
do that, I am
we are
legitimately sending the jam to the ethereal plane.
All right, fine.
Can we make a slightly less delicious version of this jam?
You cannot. Every version of it you make will be exactly as delicious and have the same properties.
Yeah.
Can we reverse engineer this jam to get something slightly less delicious out of it?
Possibly.
Can we
It would
weaponize
require
this
a lot
jam?
of work from a wizard specifically.
We give the jam to Q.
Yes. Yes.
And Cube inquires as to whether you want him to eat it.
No, we want you
No.
to duplicate it.
But not as good.
Shit, if he can make it as good, I don't care.
It
So-
can't be. I can make it as good. That's the problem.
Yeah, but yours would be magical and not substantial.
That's better.
I mean,
So-
technically, it is magical.
Orphan, do you go along with the plan to leave the jam with Cube so he can research it and try to reverse engineer the magic?
No, if anyone wants the jam, they're gonna have to steal it from me, honestly.
So
Will you
Orphan...
give-
does
Orphan,
not
will you let us
relinquish
have,
the
will you
jam.
let us have a sample of it? We don't need the whole jar, just a sample.
Orphan will give Eldove a tiny sample if he promises to make more.
I'll only make more for Orphan. This is Orphan's 5x5 cube of jam. And
Okay.
in fact, the creation spell does allow you to make more than one material, so I can make a giant 5x5 jar filled with this jam.
So you guys get a sample of the jam to Cube to reverse engineer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah! Like,
So-
can he make, like, a non-magical version of this, just
You-
regular-ass fruit?
You don't know yet. He's gonna get to work on it. He's going to drop all the other research he was doing and start work on
Wait.
the jam.
Hold on,
This
what
is more
research was he
important.
doing?
This is more important. Who cares?
Do you ask him?
Yeah, well, I'm legitimately curious, because the last thing we did with him is we sent him on a mission, and he gained a level or two.
You ask him as to the nature of his research, and he describes it to you in excruciating and totally impenetrable detail. You have no...
gets,
At the end of it, you have no idea what he's doing.
He gets, like, 10 seconds in, and Zook just kind of holds up his hand and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Just tell me the gist, dude.
And he
Is it
says,
like shooting fire from your hands?
that was the gist. I have not yet finished the gist.
Oh. Does anything he
At least he's
says...
picking up slang.
Nothing.
Does
You
it-
have no magical training at all. You don't have any idea what he's talking
Yeah.
about.
I didn't hear anything about fireballs from your fists, so let's get on this jam project.
He nods and he says he will bend his resources to the jam.
Oh, can that be Q's new name? Jam Project?
The Jam Project featuring Cube. So
I want to know about his research. Like, the research sounds cool.
you have the
Instead,
and,
we're having him reverse engineer jam.
Research
What
is
have
for
I
nerds.
done?
and you have the same
I can't
problem if
believe-
you ask
I
him. You don't
can't
understand what he's talking about.
believe
I know.
Arik is protesting this.
What have I done?
Of all people.
Well, the idea is that they're trying to make a version of the jam that you guys can eat safely. Without
Well,
the
Orphan's
effect-
ruined.
Well, yeah,
Like,
Orphan
good
is
jam.
Luckily, Orphan does not need to eat.
Good jam with slightly less ennui.
I mean, your orphan still can eat. It's just every meal she has from now on will pale in comparison.
No, but she's a monk. She doesn't
But-
have to.
Really?
Yeah.
Monks are weird.
Right?
Yep, I don't ever have to eat for the rest of my life. My keys are saying.
Nice.
Does
Okay.
no, like does
So what is the next course of action as far as the cult?
Yeah, Khalil has
Feed
just
the
been
cult some
sitting-
jam.
Khalil is what?
Khalil has just been sitting there looking at this jam, and so he has not been brought up to speed at all of what the hell you guys are planning.
Oh, no.
Oh no, everybody's in on it. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, Tarin hasn't heard anything that makes him change his mind that he should refuse Destil Lock's offers.
Yeah,
That he
Orphan
should
is.
refuse?
Shouldn't.
Orphan has totally come around on this issue. She doesn't want to trust Locke one bit anymore. After he gave her a command word and like said, and you can use this in her sanctum, and didn't tell her what it did or like anything about the place.
And then it was terrible.
As far as she's concerned, that's like a huge breach of trust, and the deal's off.
Okay, so what do you tell Locke?
I'm not going to say it just to Locke. I'm going to say it to Tarin. I'm going to tell Tarin that I'd been entertaining the offer, that we went to Kiska to verify the information he gave her, and as far as Orphan is concerned, all Locke has done is prove himself to be an untrustworthy ally.
If
He's a liability.
when we come back into town, when we come back to the inn, does he seek an audience with us, or is he just there?
Not on the first day that you're back, but he's still there.
We should give Locke some jam.
Locke probably made this frickin' devil deal.
That's true. He probably did make this jam.
Who do you think that merchant was?
Needful jams.
So after a day of you being back, you do get a message that Locke would like an audience.
Tarin, just quick count. Does anyone at this point? Tarin is pretty much soundly in the no column for the deal. Anyone else?
Orphan's vote has changed to no.
My
Zook
vote
pretty
is
much backing the captain.
the same place where it used to be. He thinks it's pretty cool to let him leave, but the other ones, he's a sound no on the others, whereas before he was an eh.
Okay.
Khalil will point out that this guy he is a potential target for Gendred. And
Well, then he shouldn't be.
He tried once and failed, but that doesn't mean he won't try again.
Does anyone want to actually ask him why the hell he gave you that word?
Because he's an asshole. He's an asshole who does asshole things, because he's an asshole.
Fair enough.
That sounds like it's tautology.
So what is the response?
Yeah, no. It sounds like we're all in agreement. So Tarin will say, thank you very much for the offer. The information you gave us in Kiska was interesting, but right now we're not honestly interested in making those deals.
This is interesting, but you've confirmed that it's true.
Tarin runs through everything in your head. Yes.
And you know now that the power you're up against is greater than you once thought.
Yeah. It seems like we have an interdimensional ancient dragon older than the world itself to deal with as well.
And he produces the 3 envelopes again. And he says, and so, as to our agreement,
we're gonna try this on our own.
he nods, says, I respect that. I really do. You all will know what to find me when you change your mind. And he puts the envelopes back and returns to his room in the inn.
Hey, you want some jam?
Do you offer him the jam?
No, I don't. It's not my jam.
You're not going to be
to
able to get it from Orphan.
Yeah, really.
I will butte. But yeah, I think. Do we want to go investigate this other dude? Is that our next step?
Do we know which of the towns along the coast of Romnanus we're supposed to go to?
Yeah,
She
you know
gave
how
us
to
a
get there.
name.
You know how to
Okay.
get there.
Yeah.
But we might have to get there by boat because we don't.
Yeah, we've never been there before.
Yeah, we can't bamf there, but it sounds like we know how to get there by boat.
I can just plane shift.
Just knowing the name of the town?
I can say I want to go 10 miles offshore away from this place.
Because none of you have
Be
been
fun.
to this village before, the most safest way to get there would be by boat.
But we could
Yeah,
plane shift.
I'd rather do that than the plane shift.
You could plane
You
shift.
can plane shift.
We don't even have to go to the ethereal plane anymore. We can go from a demiplane.
Orphan looks really
Ooh,
uncomfortable at
demiplane.
all these suggestions of going to the.
Khalil will have no part of it.
I think we should just take the boat.
Can you bring
All
us
right.
to the quasi-elemental plane of jam?
Alright, I'll plane shift and you guys can take the boat and we can race.
That's a good idea. I'm all for it.
Okay. So when are you guys going to depart? You're going to depart from Dunfoss, from Garreton.
What's the closest place?
Does it matter with
Dunfoss.
Eldove
It doesn't matter for me.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Dunfoss or Garreton because
Dunfoss is closer to where we're going.
Dunfoss.
Dunfoss then.
Khalil,
Yeah.
when you're back at the inn, do you sleep in the garrison with your men, or
Yeah.
do you sleep in? Okay. That night, there's a light rapping on your door.
Set up. Come in.
And one of your men-at-arms enters. He says, I apologize, but you have a visitor. He says it's very important that you speak.
Who is it?
He says it's Mr. Locke. He says it's about your eye. Shall I send him up?
Well, get dressed.
So you
get dressed and wait for him to come up.
And in a moment, Mr. Locke appears in your doorway, looking as clean-cut as ever. And he says, is there somewhere that we may speak candidly and privately?
Yeah, let's take a walk.
He nods. And where do you take him?
Just out to the stone walls.
Okay.
Surrounding the area.
Do you take him somewhere where you know that he'll be overheard, or are you taking him somewhere that's actually secluded?
Oh yeah, I have no reason to put him somewhere where he could be overheard, so no.
As you're walking, he says, I didn't want to mention it in front of your companions, but I could not help but notice you have acquired a somewhat potent artifact since the first time we spoke.
I'll tell you, it was interesting getting it in, and it's interesting seeing things now.
He says,
Can I actually see him for what he is now?
You cannot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
In fact, he's not even radiating magic.
Fascinating.
He says, I wondered if you knew the story of this artifact. I wonder if you know of its beginnings and what happened to its brothers.
Only what Eldove told me of it and its previous owner.
He nods. He says, would you like to know the story?
Why not?
He speaks of a collection of small orbs of all different materials. Gold, bronze, silver, platinum, of various kinds of stone, metal, gems, all different colors, one of each. Forged aeons ago by the Witch Kings. He says he once heard a story of, or there are a multitude of stories over time of these orbs lost to time, resurfacing in the hands of some mortal or another, old legends and things. But he says he heard one story in particular. He says there once was a great treasure. Vast, uncountable number of coins, gems, magic beyond imagining. This is being held in a large, forgotten keep. He said, and a monster, a particular vicious, vile monster, learned of the treasure and coveted it, wished to have it for himself, so he went there to take it. He led an army of kobolds and gnolls, the most vile of the demi-humans, to cross the deserts. He led them there and laid siege to this ruined keep, destroyed the undead minions within, came into possession of the treasure. But he was not counting on the treasure's original guardian still being there, which he was. And our friend the monster, the covetous being that he is, got his comeuppance. 2 of the eyes that sprouted from his head were bitten off, digested by the treasure's true owner. And a spell was cast upon him. He was compelled for 101 years to guard this treasure, with his life if need be. And so magically compelled, and driven in part by fear, our friend the monster did so. After 101 years of service, in which time no small number of tomb raiders, treasure hunters, and would-be adventurers tried to get their hands on this treasure, the spell of compulsion ended, and the treasure's owner returned. And he praised the monster for his good and obedient service, and offered him a full-time position as guard of his horde. The monster agreed, again perhaps out of fear or ambition, and after 101 years of loyal, non-compulsory service, the horde's owner returned and saw again that the monster had added to it from the belongings of treasure hunters and would-be adventurers, and said, "You have served me well all this time. I shall bestow upon you a gift." And he gave this monster a small black orb, similar to the one you have in your head, except made out of black onyx. And again, this monster served for 101 years, its power having grown in size with the acquisition of this orb. And again, the treasure hoard, the owner, came back and said again, "You have served me well. This past eon, I shall again reward you for your service," and gave him another orb, this one white, of ivory. And again, the monster's power grew in size. And he watches your reaction as he tells the story.
Khalil is just listening. He's just listening intently. Doesn't really seem to react in one way or another. And he'll wait for him to finish.
He says, "The last chapter of the story is not written yet, but I have an idea of how it might go." He says, "There is a Tomb Raider, treasure hunter, would-be adventurer in possession of a silver orb that calls out to its brothers. He says this adventurer walks into the room where the horde is, and the monster guard is stationed, with 2 orbs in his power. He says, I see this adventurer fight valiantly." He motions, "Are you wearing any weapons?"
No.
No. He says, "I see him fight valiantly with a sword with a serpent sigil on it, slashing one of the eyes from the monster's head, throwing it to the ground. But he loses the battle. The adventurer is killed, overrun by the monster's power, as so many before him were. And so, in the place of his 3rd lost eye, the monster places a silver orb." He says, "What do you think? I could go to publication, correct? This would sell."
No doubt it would.
So you want soda and Coke?
How do you think the story ends? And he turns and he stops walking. He stands in front of you very stoically, watching you curiously. He says, "Do I have the last chapter correct?"
Story ends however it ends, one way or another. If I'm cut down, so be it. If I'm not, then I continue to live. Are you trying to tempt me with something?
He says, "I'm trying to help you."
What is the nature of this beast of which you spin tales?
He asks if you've ever before fought a beholder, which of course you haven't.
No.
But you can make a know your enemy check if you want to see what you've learned about it over the years. Nature, Arcana, or History, whichever one you want to use.
Probably all +1, I think, because of my intelligence, and that is an 11, I think.
Which ability, which skill did you try? What?
History.
You've heard stories of creatures with a giant, like, ball of chitinous plates, scales almost, with a huge eye in the center. No body, it just floats above the ground, and sprouting off of it in all direction are claws, jointed like a crustacean's claws. And at the end of each of these appendages, instead of having a pincher or a claw, is another eye. The stories you've heard throughout history that these monsters are incredibly difficult to kill. They are very powerful. Their eyes wield magic that is very difficult to overcome. That powerful wizards and powerful warriors of Romnea's history have both stood against them and failed. But as to the actual nature of the monster or what it can do, you have no idea.
So why did you pull me outside alone to tell this story?
Says your companions are understandably reluctant to accept me as an ally.
Well, all I have to go on as far as whether you're trustworthy or not are the words of my companions, and honestly, right now I trust them a lot more than I trust you. At your word.
He nods. He says, "That's respectable." He says, "Well, I bid you good night," and he goes back to his room at the inn.
Khalil will sure he goes back there before returning to his own room.
And he does. He goes back to his room at the inn. Khalil follows him, and then turns around and goes back to the garrison.
Yeah.
So the next day, the journey begins to cross the sea and go to the small village.
Tell any of us about that?
I will tell Tarin about it, about the encounter.
Well, it's no 50 Shades of Sand, I'll say that.
I
had some downtime
Tarin,
stuff I wanted...
What's your AC? What's your AC?
My AC is 17.
Plus, let's see, proficiency bonus is plus 5, so that is a 23 to hit, punch you in the face.
Oh, I draw my sword and parry it. That puts my AC at 25.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, not if you're punching me. I'll just let you punch me. That's
anyway.
fine.
Yeah.
You had downtime actions you wanted to do, like what?
Yes, so I'm going to plane shift over to Zerzak from my demo plane.
Okay.
And I'm going to go talk to, I have his name written down. What's the dude's name? Give me a second.
Theradak?
All those guys are, the dwarf. That sounds right.
The dwarf. No, Theradak was the Gith.
No, Faradok's the Gith. Let me find my notes. Here they are.
Sounds like
Theodrin, I think, or something like that. I'm probably mixing up something with
Thorin.
Yeah, Thodrin. I just got my notes here too.
Yep.
Okay. You go and speak to Thodrin.
Yep, I'm going to see if I can visit Thodrin while these guys are sailing across the sea.
Sure. What do you want with Thodrin?
I'm going to show him the shield and ask if he's able to fix it and what materials and compensation he would need to do so.
He asks if you know what sorts of enchantments are laid on it.
Yes, extremely powerful ones and a tremendous variety of them too.
And he indicates some of the symbols on the shield. And he points to them and says, "These are an ancient drow script, dark elves."
I was told by the dark elves that it was taken from dwarves.
He shakes his head and says, "No dwarf made this shield."
Huh.
He says he can hammer the bend out of it, but he's not sure that he can fix it in terms of whatever magical enchantments it may be missing.
Oh, it's missing magic too? I thought it was just missing some of the physical defense.
Right, it's a +1 AC because the shield has been partially sundered. He's saying he can repair the metal, but he can't replace the lost gems. He can't reapply the runes or anything. Anything that was holding the magic to the shield that was destroyed as part of the sundering.
Right.
He can't repair that.
Would that put it back to +2 AC?
I guess
that's my question. Well, yeah, so I didn't even realize that also the magic was weakened because it's already absurdly powerful.
He says, "Do you want my opinion?"
Yes, of course.
He says, "I would not trust this shield with your life. Not if it was made by dark elves."
Fair enough. Well, if you would, I could pay you to fix it physically. I'll probably have to talk to an enchanter.
He waves his hand. He says, "There's no payment necessary. You and your companions have done me a great deal."
Oh, thank you.
He takes the shield and he says it'll be about 3 weeks.
Okay. I'll go back to using my normal one until then.
Okay.
And then I will try going into a demo plane and plane shifting 10 miles off the coast away from next to the city of whatever. The town of whatever, and see if that actually works.
Is there any reason why it wouldn't work?
No, my read of the spell is no, but...
Well, you actually accidentally plane shift to the elemental plane of Jam.
Boy, I'm gonna... Okay, I'm staying here until I make a plane shift key for it, and then I'm gonna give that to Arik as a birthday gift.
Now, you realize that the plane is inhabited by extremely dangerous jam elementals.
I'll barter with them.
Jam elementals.
What do you make the key
out of?
out
Can I take
of?
quests to defeat their enemies, the toast elementals?
You joke, but I actually, when I was in high school, I ran a game where my players had to fight a bread golem.
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
There's a Team Fortress 2 video about that, basically.
He just uses a spoon for the key.
There's a DDO boss that's a crate golem, and his name is Kratos.
Kratos? Okay. So,
Pretty terrible.
who all are you bringing on your voyage with you?
Fred's down for it.
Who are you asking?
Just the group in general. Who are you? Because you're sailing the ship to this village. Are you bringing anybody special on the voyage?
Do we want to bring Fred? Fred's probably hasn't been on the ocean in a while. We might leave him on the boat if it gets hairy, but
There's no leaving Fred on the boat.
Would Locke come with you? Do you invite him?
why? Why?
No. Locke's not welcome.
Do we need to have a discussion about Locke, whether or not he's welcome?
I
It's
would
either
not
Locke or
want
the Jam, Orphan.
We can. I mean, do we want to have that discussion?
Though somebody asked,
there
is
any-
Locke coming?
Hold on. Is there any good reason why we would be bringing Locke?
If we feel a pressing need to be betrayed.
Well, we had enough of that back in Udog's village. I think we're betrayed up for a little while.
So no, you're not inviting Locke. That's what I'm getting from this.
That's no.
Okay.
Fred's invited, but Locke is not.
Oh, Fred's going. Absolutely. Fred's down.
So just to be clear, we're going in to go talk to this guy. We have a note from Ravenhair,
Yes.
but we don't have the true name that we believe is probably this dude. But that's fine. That might just piss him off, actually. So
Yeah, probably.
I'm good. Yeah.
Tiny little fishing village, clinging to a rocky cliff of Romneus, and with very little difficulty, you find the house where Ashatiru is supposedly staying. You were told that his name in the town, that the other mortals know him by, is Mandus.
Oh. Okay. So we find the village. Can we actually? I mean, do we need to take like a longboat out from there, or is there actually docking there?
No, there's no docking. You'll be taking a longboat to the shore.
Okay.
Is the village large enough that I have an inn to have been staying in?
It isn't. Not really.
Okay.
Not a place where travelers really come to a lot. It's not a place where a river meets the sea. It's a little bit greener here in the land, and there's good fishing. But you all can take the boat, or take your longboat back to the Honor to rest.
Okay.
And Orphan, you're not exhausted anymore. You've rested since then.
Yeah.
But all of your dreams are filled with jam.
Captain, do you think we should go as a group, or do you think one of us should approach by ourselves with this note?
I think we should go as a group.
Okay.
Sorry.
Is anybody not going?
Do you want the letter, or do you want me to present it since it's coming from me?
Sorry, I missed that. Someone's talking to me.
Oh, I was saying, should I hang on to the letter? She handed it to me, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Do you guys bring Fred with you?
Into town?
Is there like an inn in this town? Would he
No,
be comfortable?
you'd be staying at the boat. But
Staying at the
you're
boat.
going to talk to the guy. Are you bringing Fred to talk to Mandus with you?
Hell yes, we're bringing Fred.
Sure.
Yeah, let's bring Fred.
How's he
Khalil.
going to tell the story of our adventures otherwise?
Khalil.
Yeah.
Approaching the little house that you know Mandus to be staying in, some of the locals pointed you to it. It's this little shack, little shanty, just on the edge of the village, next to an old dilapidated stone switchback that leads down the cliff to the sea. You see nets, hooks hanging on the outside of the house where fish can be hung out for the meat to dry. Doesn't look like any of it's been used very recently. It looks like it's all fallen to disrepair and disuse. However, the doors and walls of this tiny little one-room shack look very magical to you.
When we inquired about Mandus, did
I look at Tarin Tap my right temple next to where my eye is, my silver eye is.
I take it they're also magical to me?
Yeah, when you flip on your detect magic, you see that the shack is magical.
Okay. What school?
When we...
I don't know. Shack.
Is it necromancy?
Shack Fu.
Shack Fu.
Magic Shack. When we inquired around the town about this guy, like, how did the townspeople, like, were they just like, oh yeah, he's down that way, or was it...
Depends on how you ask. I mean, it's kind of odd for a well-armed group of 7 people to kind of strut into their town and start to ask about their regulars, but so they didn't answer indifferently. Some curiosity, maybe.
Okay, but not
people
like...
wonder like what kind of trouble Mandus got himself into, perhaps.
Okay, I was just curious. All right.
You said the fishing stuff was like in disarray?
Looks like it has been used. I mean, to your eyes, it definitely looks like it hasn't been used in a long time. It looks like it could be repurposed. I mean, it's not broken. It's just doesn't look like it's been touched for a while.
Does it look like it may have just been there for show in the first place, or is it hard to tell?
It's definitely seen use at some point in its life.
Okay.
So you're standing outside of the shack?
Yeah.
Door closed.
Door's closed.
Duke looks and says, "Should I knock?"
That's usually
generally how polite people ask to enter, but I don't know how you people act sometimes.
All right, fine. So Zook goes up because he's got the letter and he figures he'll introduce himself, and he goes up and he just knocks on the door. Hopes he doesn't have to take a Constitution save from
a hatch opens.
You hear a voice from inside. Eh? Who's that?
Zilbus? No.
Eldov's out already.
And he says, Mr. Mandus, my name is Zook. Can I come in and talk to you for a minute?
He says, enter.
Try the door. Is
Unlocked.
it unlocked?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And Zook will open the door and walk in and say, is it okay if my traveling companions come in with me?
Well, as soon as you open the door, look into the shack. Little tiny one-room fishing shack. Looks really ramshackle to you. There's a not even a bed, just like a straw mat on the floor in one corner. Mandus himself is sitting at a table at the far end. Very old man with a hunchback, smoking some kind of pipe. One of his eyes is glassed over. Looks like he can't see out of it. Looking through the rest of the room, you can tell he lives a very minute existence. He subsides on not very much here. Destil.
Yeah.
Now for the other shoe to drop.
You don't see that at all. Give me 1 second here.
I don't know why I didn't take this power sooner. It's awesome.
It's pretty good, right?
It leads to seeing things you don't want to see.
I still don't see a problem with that.
For lack of a better term, what you're looking at looks to be a humanoid jackal. With very fierce eyes covered in brownish orange fur and wearing... first of all, both of his eyes look functional. And he's wearing what looks to be like a scholar's dress. Like a scribe. Like robes that you would see somebody wearing perhaps at the School of Senses. Actually, you've seen Kantar's form, haven't you? Or was that just Orphan?
Yeah, Orphan described it.
Shit.
Because yes, this is the same type of creature that Orphan saw in her dream that she described to you.
I completely forgot something like 6 steps behind.
Uh-oh.
I was gonna ask if we should cast Identify on that letter.
Did you do that?
No? Okay. Fair enough. Alright. YOLO.
And the old crotchety man bids you enter his check. There's standing room only in here. There's nowhere for you all to sit. He's occupying the only chair. It's not even a chair. It's an upturned barrel. Just a little keg that he's sitting on.
Tarin will 1 by 1 mind link to everyone. Some sort of jackal humanoid. Sounds a lot like Noel Kantar.
And when you do that, Mandus's eye snaps to you.
Uh-oh.
As soon as you send out a telepathic message to somebody else. And he says, "It's drafty in here. Close the door."
I think we've been invited inside.
Okay. Did someone shut the door?
Yeah, someone shuts the door.
Fred shuts the door
I'll
behind
mage
him.
hand it shut.
Eldove mage hands it because apparently standing 5 feet away from a door is too much work for him.
Listen, 5 feet away is a whole square. Like, am I gonna move a square? No.
And you didn't
Zook.
solitaire get shut.
Yes.
Make a sleight of hand check.
Wait, hold on.
Dexterity, sleight of hand.
So that'll be 13 plus 23 plus 28.
Oh shit, Orphan, he could totally pickpocket that jam off you and you would never know where it went.
Wait, I'm using my skill for sleight of hand. On
Yeah.
that. Is that correct? Okay, yeah.
Dex
28.
plus sleight of hand, and Orphan's passive perception is 12. So that jam's yours whenever you want it. That's all I'm saying.
I don't want on Wii Jam for myself. I don't want to eat it. I just want to monetize it.
So
I didn't say it was impossible to get to me. I specifically said if you want it, you're going to have to sneak in
Okay.
Orphan room and steal it from him.
Oh wait, I have double
And if he can
proficiency
do
on-
that, then he can do that.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
Eldove
good.
closes the door, and Mandus blows. The room is very smoky with this kind of foul-smelling tobacco, whatever stuffed in his pipe. So the door closes, and Mandus looks back at all of you. Says, "Why are you here?"
And Zook will say, Zook will reach in his bag for the letter that he hopes is still there.
It is.
And he pulls it out and says, hopefully this will explain it.
He looks at the letter and he sniffs. He says, "No good. Never learned to read. What does it say?"
Do we have permission to open it? 'Cause it is
With all due
sealed.
respect, it was sealed for you only. I think you should at the very least be the one to open it.
He says, "There's a trick. There's some kind of trick." And Tarin, whenever he speaks, you don't hear his nasally old man voice. You hear the voice, what his real voice would sound like, which is a very refined, more conversational tone. The rest of you just hear crazy old coot.
And Zook will say, Zook will look at it.
Tarin will just walk over, take the letter out of Zook's hand, and put it on the. Was he sitting in front of a table? You said.
No, he's sitting on a little barrel, smoking a pipe.
And we'll put it in his hand, in his free hand, and say into his mind, "Believe me, it's not a trick."
He takes it, looks it over. He says, repeats again, "It's no good, can't read, no use. Who's it from? Do I have an admirer?"
Yes, a lovely sand elf woman. Streak of black in her hair, odd, huh?
At the mention of that, he reaches out with his free hand to pick up the letter, snatches it from you. He runs his thumb underneath this with the wax seal and breaks it. And when he does, Khalil and Tarin, if you still got the light switch on, you see the magic that was in the parchment drain away. And he breaks the seal and hands the letter back to Tarin. Says, "No good. You have to read it to me."
Wheel rubs his temple.
Tarin will look down and, what do I see?
Infernal script.
I'll hand it to, Orphan.
Orphan takes it. She looks over.
It's definitely infernal script, but the actual language is draconic. Which to your eyes looks like a bastardization of infernal. It looks like somebody's... Like, it reads to you like a Skyrender translation, basically.
My God!
Wow.
Shots fired!
I'm sorry.
damn.
Shouldn't have said
Usually I'm
that.
on Skyrender out of correct places.
Shouldn't have said that.
Orphan,
I love it.
Orphan looks at the old man Amanda's apologetically and says, "I can read it phonetically, but you'll have to forgive me if I stumble over a few of the words."
And he gives some indication that he heard you that doesn't look like it was entirely polite, and bids you to go on.
So I'll read it to him. Now here's an interesting question, Brick.
Yeah.
I can read this, like, because it's in Infernal script.
Right.
As I'm saying the words, do I understand them?
No. But
Okay.
I'll tell you what, I will give Eldove. Is he the only one who knows Draconic in this group?
Actually,
Oh,
I know
I,
Draconic too.
I taught it to
Like
Zook.
half of us. Oh no,
Okay.
just me.
Did he teach it to me? I'm trying to remember. No, he did not.
It's not on your sheet.
No.
I think you declined because you can understand all spoken languages.
Yeah, I offered, and you're like, no, I understand all spoken languages. I definitely remember that.
You can read it phonetically, and Eldove can... I will give him a wisdom check.
Okay.
So go ahead and just make a naked wisdom check, Eldove.
Me too.
Yeah, it's just making.
Yeah, Zook, you can make it
his
too.
hoops.
I know.
I'll tell you what, Zook, you can help Eldove and let Eldove take it with advantage. So
Okay.
whoever has the highest wisdom can make the check, and the other one is aiding them.
I probably have the highest wisdom.
My wisdom's only +2.
Yeah, Zook's is... or Eldove's is +3. So go ahead and make that check. How'd you do? Throw it with
Zook?
advantage.
Oh, I thought Zook was going to throw it. Yeah.
No, you're rolling with advantage.
Okay. I got a 5 from Zook. Thanks, Zook.
You're welcome.
I got a 19. Wisdom.
Okay. It's
Haven't
difficult
speaking
because, like, imagine somebody who's watched, like, 4 or 5 anime series pretending like they know Japanese. That's what it sounds like.
I've never
When
had
Kung
Orphan
Fu
is just speaking the phonetically, but you're able to put the words together in your mind and translate what she's saying. It's a letter written from Ravenhair to Ashatiru, saying that she has evidence that he intends to stand against Gendrid, and therefore bring discord to the cult. And she's saying she's in a position to stop him. She's in a position to prevent him from doing that and bring down the retribution of Ith. However, the letter also says that if he has any evidence, if in his research or understanding of worlds that she does not know, if he has evidence that Ith is being suppressed, that Gendrid has seized power using coercive means, that she will help him, and that the people bringing this letter are our allies. And that's what the letter says. That's a summary of it. It's much more eloquent because it was written by a sand elf in Draconic using Infernal script.
And I'll look at Mendes to see how he reacts to all this.
He doesn't. He puffs on his pipe until you guys are done. And when you're done, he says, "What's all that mean?"
Well, Eldove is going to translate it to common, right? Isn't that the idea?
Oh yeah, I mean he knows he understood what he heard. You all read it to him.
No, he's just still.
He's being ridiculous, Zook. Zook, you're the fucking rogue. You should know this.
Thinking you jump through his hoops.
I'll tell you what, guys. I'll tell you what we're gonna do because,
Okay.
unfortunately, it's my sister-in-law's birthday, which means my wife is not here tonight to bring me dinner, which means I'm starving. Let's go ahead and take our dinner break. It is about 7:30. Let me go ahead and put Elizabeth on the screen.